Okay, good evening, everybody. Bobby Piton here. Thank you to everybody who's been chiming in the morning. Obviously, I was away in Arizona for a few days, and I didn't really announce that I would even be speaking. Um, I guess maybe I'm being a little paranoid, but I think I might be rattling some feathers. So sometimes I think it's probably best that people don't know where I'm at. So um, yeah, in terms of Annette, I am hearing that people are being unsubscribed to me. So I guess maybe I'm doing something right. But YouTube is definitely unsubscribing me. They actually didn't allow me to post this live stream coming up. So I'm not sure why that is. That's a first for me. Um, with regards to I couldn't copy my link, and usually I just share it on Telegram and everywhere else. So I just had to just basically say that I'm going to be broadcasting here shortly. So let me just say some quick hellos to everybody who's been enjoying this incredible experience with me, and I hope everybody is getting as much of it as out of it as I am. So hi, Jules, Dan, Gretchen, Annette, Mary. Who else we have here? Donna and Jim, Rhonda, Mark, and Amstock, and I hope I'm not forgetting everybody. Of course, Dallas. Dallas, I don't know if you saw the quote, but I did. Even though I was in the church, I kind of ended my little speech with, and let's not forget we need to get those sons of bitches. So that's the way I ended it. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it all happened so fast. I think that people did do a standing ovation for that. So I do think that people want to see justice. Hey, Jeff, how are you? And Onward and Henry. Hey, Maria. So I think that the clip should be coming out soon. Uh, I did get afterwards. Ann Vandersteel uh, asked me. We went into the green room and she talked to me a little bit about maybe doing a show sometime, maybe in the next week or two. Prefer sooner, so I'll reach out to her maybe tomorrow because this news that's kind of come out on Pennsylvania is going to be pretty crazy. I think when the stuff starts to come out about what transpired in Pennsylvania, it's going to be pretty wild indeed. And so, in terms of now I don't think there was 4,500 people. I didn't keep track or count, but the church wasn't a really big mega church, but it was a decent sized church, and so I'm not sure how many people they're going to broadcast it to, but I got to meet some wonderful people there, and people were very kind. Some woman saw me in line trying to purchase a book, and I couldn't move fast enough. She purchased the book for me. It was like $20. She just paid them through the $20 and took off. So that was kind of nice. I don't know if she's watching right now, but she says she watches some of my stuff and wanted to just say thank you. So I got a book about a Navy SEAL that was a speaker there, which is pretty cool. And so I'm grateful for that. And yeah, so that's what's going on, folks. Arizona is I do believe there is no reason why Arizona doesn't flip for President Trump. Period. That's number one. Number two, there's only 90 people in the legislative body of Arizona. So, there's 80,000 people in Arizona for every one of those individuals. So the evidence is so overwhelming based on what I see, right? You got to remember, folks, just because um, I don't know any new information, it's not like, I did meet Doug Logan for the first time in person. We spoke a lot in December about things I was doing for nationwide data. But he's running the audit, and I respected his stance. We couldn't discuss it, and I don't, and I do believe that not trying to pry and ask him to tell me anything, it's inappropriate. I would never do that. I just wanted to see him, talk to him about family. How is he holding up? He's been working nonstop. He hasn't seen his family in like he's only saw them twice, 2 days in the past month or so, and so he's making an incredible sacrifice to do this. And so God bless him. And so my view is, if he's working this hard to do these things, I'm going to try to do my part to help him with information. Whether he uses it or not, it's up to him. But to hopefully, expose things and so forth. One of the things I will say is, I did have a meeting, and I mentioned this in my, I think I mentioned it on Saturday. That with the data team, and Robert Beatles, or Crypto Beatles, I don't know if he's out there listening, and other people that were getting involved, that we are going to do a digital canvas of sorts that will supplement the physical canvas, and hopefully this is something that could be put in place, not just for once Arizona's complete, but the big donkeys on deck kind of thing, or states on deck, is going to be Pennsylvania, and it's going to be Georgia. Because I think once Arizona flips, that'll be the first domino to fall, as Liz Harris would say. And then it's going to be Pennsylvania and Georgia. I think will be connected. And I do have a lot of information that I've constructed myself. And this is not from anybody. Nobody's given me this information. I guess you can say the person, or, I guess it's not a person, it's a spirit. I do believe God gave me this information back in December. So if it's wrong, I don't know why he'd give it to me. So, because we just talked about this in the Bible. If you have a vision from God, if it's real or not, whether or not it comes true. So, somebody gave it to me. So if it comes true, then I guess I'm not taking credit for it. It's God. If it isn't true and accurate and doesn't actually play out, then it's, the burden falls on me. I'm the one that did something wrong. Maybe my wires were crossed. But all I can tell you is the information that I took from those two states, Pennsylvania and Georgia. I figured out how many fandom voters, or how many votes were destroyed in Pennsylvania. They destroyed entire classes of last names. And then, surprisingly, a lot of names showed up by a similar type of mathematics in Georgia. So there was a shortage of names in Pennsylvania, and there's a surplus of names in Georgia. So this was a coordinated gift. I'm just reading Amstock. You have a gift, Bobby. I just read that and I said it out loud. It's pretty funny. Now I'm saying it wasn't a coordinated gift, because it was a theft, a coordinated theft of the American people. But what I will say, that this information, I saw it in a dream. I sat down, I went through and laid out for Pennsylvania and Georgia is about 15 million records. But then I did it for all 5 battleground states. I broke it all out, and I saw these relationships everywhere. And, I documented it all. I kept it. I actually did each, on different states, I did each particular county. And so all this information should be getting out. I know we're supposed to talk about the greatest book ever written, but it is tied into a lot of where we are in the readings. So I don't think it's inappropriate, And so I think that, I do think that I do think it's all unfolding, folks. So I think the Holy Spirit and God is here among us. I've been saying that for months now. God is showing up and across Americans and patriots around the world. There's a lot of other countries that are dealing with these same issues. It's not just the United States, and it's wonderful to see so many people step up, and fight to defend our freedom, our right of justice for all, and actually restore justice for all. And so I've been talking about it. I've been having more dreams about it lately, and I've been talking to other people, more and more people, people from all over. I guess some people from around the world, and then some people from around the United States. It's really made me think twice that we, there's just some really evil, bad people part of the Uniparty, and they're horrible. They're not Republicans. They're not Democrats. They're just they're shysters. They're not Republicans. This is a good shirt too, Dallas. They're not Republicans. They're not Democrats. They're just shysters. Okay, that's what it is, folks. They're just shysters, and these scumbags that are shystering the American people. We, the people of the United States, need to wake up and realize that, what? We've all been cheated. So guess what, folks? When everybody does this last name analysis, and everybody does this first name analysis across their states, looks at it in the battleground states, They're going to realize, hey, they didn't just destroy Republican votes. They destroyed independent votes. They destroyed Democrat votes. And that's the damn problem. You know what? We have a right to our voice. And then, if we know it's a fair contest, we'll deal with it. When it's not fair, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause social grief. They're trying to cause, they're trying to cause animosity and hatred toward one another, and we can't let them. We can't let them win at that, right? We can't let them win. We have to go back to common sense. Go back to God first, Ten Commandments, U.S. Constitution. Start treating people the way they should be treated individually. Don't judge an individual based on the political party and the corrupt leaders that party allows to stay in power. Look, if you guys use that litmus test, then I hate to say it, I voted for the most corrupt politician in the history of the United States, probably the most corrupt family ever in the history of America and the globe, which is the Bush family. I voted for both those. I voted for that loser, not once but twice. He's a piece of garbage. He's a thief. He's a scumbag. His dad probably had something to do with killing JFK, and they opened up China. They destroyed this country from within. They probably ran drugs through Mena, Arkansas, and they probably killed Pablo Escobar so that they could take the money from the drug trade from cocaine. This is how corrupt these families are. And then the traitor McCain in Arizona, that scumbag, it was a race against him and Barry, who's supposedly like a stepson to the Bushes. Folks, these scumbags have been doing this. They've been playing us all for decades. Just look at the data. There is, you don't need to look. Just go look at it for yourself. You could see what they're saying. Now, keep in mind, when I hear stuff, sometimes I hear things that are being said here and there. I go and look at the source material. That's the way I like to roll. And I like to know for myself. So anything I tell you when I'm talking about this stuff, unless I specify that it's a hypothesis, I did the research myself. And so, that's the deal. Like, I posted something today about the Medici family. The Medicis, I started researching it. I had dreams about them in December and how they still call the shots on this planet. They're the most powerful family on Earth that we don't even hear about. Okay, that family, just so you know, 33 years before the United States was formed in 1743. It's based on my own research looking into this. They just disappeared. They vanished. Most powerful family ever in the history of the world for hundreds of years. Multiple popes, multiple control of the Vatican. They just disappear like a fart in the wind. Okay? I don't think they did. Okay? They made a deal. They formed, why do you think it's called America, right? Italian. So these guys just turn around. They probably got involved, get this thing up, in the United States, and they've been playing the world. They've been collecting tolls from planet Earth through the Catholic Church. Okay, and I'm Roman Catholic, so you got the Medici family figured out a way to just not pay any taxes on anything they accrue worldwide. They just buy properties and they get a tax deduction, and religion is just exempt from taxes. And they figured out how to play every single society worldwide and collect the money. Okay, that's how scummy these people are. And I think they had something to do with other stuff. So what's going on with the trolls? What's going on? Who's the troll right now? Who do we need to knock out? Dallas, what's going on? Troll toils? I don't know what's going on. So if I see somebody, let me know. We have to knock out that troll. Okay, so let's just jump into it. We'll see what happens, folks. It should be interesting to see how all this unfolds. I'm excited to see it, but I do think justice is most definitely on the horizon for the will of the American people. Look, they assassinated our president, the last real president that was freely elected, which was JFK. They tried to assassinate, they tried to assassinate the will of the American people, right? That's what they tried to do in this latest election. And so right now, we are not going to let that assassination hold. The body is bleeding, right? It's in the ER, and we need to restore it and nurse it back to health. And that's what we need to do. Okay? So let's go to Deuteronomy 21. Cleansing for unsolved murder, right? Seems appropriate. We just talked about JFK, unsolved murder. We, the people of the United States, should figure out who exactly we need to charge with those crimes. Because as we've, in this Deuteronomy, 21, the Jewish people and with their compact with God, if they don't know who killed somebody and nobody's witness, nobody knows who it was, God will forgive you, right? That you're not held liable. Your society isn't at fault if you've never witnessed it. However, if you know as a society who killed somebody, who committed a crime, and you do nothing about it, you lose God's favor. Okay? You lose God's favor. And that's something we, the people of the United States, need to realize, that we will lose God's favor if we don't bring justice to all. Everybody has to pay the toll if they broke the law. That's just the way it is. And if we don't do that, not only do we dishonor God, we lose God's grace and we fail as a nation. So that's all the more reason why we have to do this, is because it's real simple. It's in the greatest book ever written, and the consequences are very clearly outlined, that God does not accept an excuse of looking the other way for things that we know were crimes. Okay? We have an obligation as a moral, spiritual, we're spiritual beings before we're in the flesh. So as a moral, spiritual society, we have an obligation to make sure that we do the right thing regardless of where it takes us, right? That's the key. We have to do what's right and let the consequences fall out. You got to remember something. We didn't, I hear this all the time. Well, you don't want to go down that path because you don't know what's going to happen, right? Or, oh, well, let's make this compromise because, the other, if we do the other thing, it could be more pain and more disturbing than if we just kind of kick the can down the road. And I think that's why we've been suffering. So do you think that God punishes if you do try to say something but nothing is resolved with it? Now, that's a great question, Bethany. So with regards to if you try to say something, you try to do something, I don't believe that God will punish you. I think if anything, you try to do the right thing, and as a result of doing the right thing, you should keep trying to get your message out. You did your part. If you don't have the power or the say or the influence to actually execute on the plan, right? You're not at fault. None of us are at fault, right? Because think about it. You and I and everybody in this room that's chatting here, unless there's somebody in here that we don't really know about, like, we don't have a say on national security. We don't get to say, hey, you know what? We need to make sure that corrupt, evil communist regimes can't buy property on the United States. We don't get to do that. And so, because we don't get to do that, we have to make sure that. Hold on one second. All right. Okay, I just had to get rid of somebody. Gone. Okay. We have to make sure that we elect officials that do have our go-ahead to do the right thing. That we give them the right, the will of the American people, and that's why it's so important, Bethany. What you just asked, this is all the more reason we have to have the right people that reflect the will of the American people in positions of power. Because if we don't have the right people winning office, because they've been cheated, they cheated their way into office, then we mistakenly think what they did was the will of the American people. So when I hear about this, that America has committed crimes against the world because of some of these criminals like the Bush family, and we went to war and so forth, right? I sit there and I think about that, and I do think we need to figure out how to fix it, because we let criminals into office. But what I would say is, he was never the will of the American people. Okay? He was not the will of the American people. And so I hope the world forgives us for some of the evil things that the Bush family did. And we need to figure out how much money they stole, and how much money these families stole, and how much of this national debt is fake. And we need to claw it all back and put it into a trust. We need to put all that money back into a trust on behalf of the American people, sovereign wealth fund, and then we need to make sure, let me see here. Hold on. Okay, we got another one. Bye-bye, Henry. Henry's no longer with us. Okay. So anyways, that's what's going on, folks. Marriage to captive women. Suppose you go out to war, and once again, this is the Old Testament. This is when the world was a lot different. Um, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad we don't have to worry about this anymore, but that people would literally, you know, you would take and enslave the women. Now, folks, okay, there's some really crazy stuff going on out there, right? I do believe there might be a concerted effort to harm a lot of us, a lot of Americans, not just Americans, but people worldwide, all at one time. Like there's almost like a TikTok event, right? Like a TikTok, like a bomb going off event that they're trying to put into place. This is no joke, okay? This is very serious that this is a possibility. We need to figure out what the hell is real and what isn't. There's a lot of disinformation. We need to better understand what's causing these things. And frankly, there's a lot of money that's been passed in the latest stimulus bill this year. It was almost $2 trillion. $2 trillion of money, and some of it is going to be spent across all levels of government for this commie. I'm going to call it my wife. I like her name. I don't like the CCP virus, right? Because it's kind of like, that doesn't really reflect it. It's more of the individuals that are commies. The communists are the virus. They're not just a virus in our society. They're a virus probably backing this horrible stuff, right? So this is who we need to hold to account, is the commie virus perpetrators. And so, that's what happened here. What is this here? Let me see. So in each community across America, we have a right to get things together and speak on behalf of our community, get involved with local politics, become a PC, take over local politics. Both parties, folks. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Everybody needs to step up and get involved and take back both political parties from these uniparty operators that probably aren't even Americans. This is a lot of wealth from overseas that has been ripping off planet Earth probably for hundreds of years, is what it looks like. But I think that if we do that, then when we look at the funds that are being spent, we examine how they're being spent. Like I heard, like in my county here alone, they're going to get something like the equivalent of $600 a family or something like that. $600 per family in King County. And, I was doing the math. I did the math. It was like almost $100 million that they're going to get because of this bill. And somebody said, why don't they just give it all back to the people? Which they should. They should give it all back to all the residents. These scumbags that are elected, they think it's their freaking money. And it's like, we don't speak up enough. We don't say enough against this. Property prices are going up in America. We should push to cut property taxes. Cut the damn tax rates. The gain in property taxes shouldn't be the government's. It's the people's. The cost of government should not go up because property taxes, or because the value of properties went up, when it's not their damn properties. It's the people that live in the community. So we need to exert our voice and make sure that we stand up to this lunacy of how they're ripping us off every which way they can. So anyways, this is, this stuff all ties into what they're trying to do with us nationwide, right? They're trying to figure out, not just in the United States, but worldwide. They're trying to do this so that they could steal and rip off and possibly physically harm, countless human beings. It's extremely dangerous that we let it get this far. I'm hoping things are around the corner. I'm very hopeful that justice is on the horizon, and it's not a year away, 2 years away. Folks, I don't think we have 2-3 years away. We got to get this solved now. We got to get this solved in the next 2-3 months, ideally. So we need to get this all figured out because the consequences are way too dire, and because this is just ridiculous. And all the people that stole from the Republic, they need to all be brought to justice, every last one of them, and every last penny that they have, every penny that was put into their family's name, The NSA, you guys have the records. Find out where it got moved overseas, any Swiss bank accounts, anybody that they coordinated these efforts with. Just treat them like war criminals that they are. Take every single damn last penny and put all of it right into put it right into a trust on behalf of the American people. Is the deal. Okay, so I don't know where these little scumbags are coming from. That's 3 in one night, folks. Unbelievable. Anyways, yeah, so that's that. So that's gone. Okay, so what am I reading, Donna? Hold on a second. It says, Donna, Ian Wills, unless you're here. Okay, yeah, no problem. I got rid of them. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jules. They're gone. So Deuteronomy 22. If you're the neighbor's ox, once again, this is an interesting one. This is if you see animals out wandering around and so forth, and you know they're your neighbors, like an ox or donkey or something else, you know you have an obligation to put back. You have an obligation to give back something that isn't yours, right? This is common sense, folks. You know, we all intrinsically know this is right. You know, we try to do the right thing because it's not because somebody rewards us for it, but because it's the right thing to do. And I do think that this is just a reiteration of that fact that if you don't know who you should give something to that you found, right, lost and found, then you give it. You want to believe in a process that tries to identify and give the data back. In this case, I use data, right, because data is also valuable. But in the case of giving property back and so forth, and so you know, I do think you know I do think that we're going to return to this type of living in the United States. I do believe that. Right now, it feels as though it's a free for all. Everybody tries to take, everybody tries to justify, not us, but I'm saying there's too many Americans, way too many, who think, well, if other people are cheating, then it makes it okay for me to cheat because the whole thing's going down anyways. Nothing could be further from the truth. You got to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, even if everybody around you is doing bad things and they just can't, they can no longer control themselves. And I think that how do you think we reverse the tide? You have to stay strong. You have to stay, follow your beliefs and your principles, because if you don't do that, then everything will truly be lost, and you're going to live in a world. Let me see. First of all, hey Dan, we're talking about religion here, so I'm going to ban you anyways. But I don't know why you guys keep showing up. Because first of all, let me tell something. I'm going to make a comment because somebody just said, well, Bobby, you're supposed to be against censorship, but then you ban people that are here, right? And what I would say is, look, this is free will. People come into this group. I don't control YouTube. So if you come into the group, and this is free association, we're holding communion here, right? We're talking, we're sharing information about, how things work with the Bible and so forth. With regards to that process, if somebody comes in who's just trying to be an instigator, we don't need them here. So they're not part of what we're trying to do. But we don't go and infiltrate their groups like the Democrats do. And not the Democrats, the communists. I don't think the Democrats are doing that as much as the communists are. The Democrats, the traditional communists, Democrats in this country have been overrun by communists. I am starting to believe that more and more based on the evidence that I see. So I'm probably going to change my my language with regards to attacking Democrats. It's probably going to be more of the communists that have infiltrated the Democratic Party, because I do think there's a lot of people that are Democrats, not the ones that think it's okay to kill babies. I still have a huge problem with that, and I know that's the party platform. But there's a bunch of people that think, you know what? I don't care if I'm gonna vote. That issue doesn't affect me. I don't have any children that are gonna have an abortion, so it doesn't matter to me. But I do like these other social issues that the Democrats stand for. So it's a complicated thing because we have a situation on our hands where we have corrupt people in both parties. And, sometimes people pick the lesser of the two evils. So anyways, that's the deal. This is That's what's going on. But anyways, what's interesting as well, and once again, when you read Deuteronomy 22 and you think about it in the context of what's happening in the world today, um, you have become part of a cult. Okay, I mean seriously, how am I? All of a sudden, I'm part of a cult. Seriously, come on. What is this crap, guys? Please don't use that letter. Who's what? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm not part of any cult. So I'm going off of the data that's being presented. Okay, and so I don't know what they're talking about, but they need to go. Um, so you know, it's just funny. I don't know what to tell you, folks. That's like 5 in one night. Where the hell, all these people are coming out of the woodwork here. Um, you know, so here's what's going to happen. Just so you guys know, after this live stream is done, I'll probably take it offline because I just don't trust all these shysters out there trying to get me banned right now with these trolling effects. So it'll be on Odyssey. So check it out on Odyssey. I'll finish this live stream and I'm gonna take it off. Just FYI. But everything is backed up automatically to Odyssey. I'll post a link there later. Okay. So just so you know, because somebody's not too happy about some of the things I'm saying. So I don't know what to tell you. But going into this whole idea, we've seen this, folks, where they try to sexualize our children in the schools. They try to think it's okay. If you guys recall, not too long ago, the more, like what they were doing before with, you know, they were trying to put transvestites into the book reading school, book reading and libraries and schools across this country. Deuteronomy 22 makes it very clear that's not cool. Okay, it's not cool, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say anything more, but it makes it very clear that anything that the Bible says we need to be doing to be a healthy society. These real scumbags, these communists, try to do everything they can to possibly infiltrate our religion. Now, keep in mind, they don't want us to they don't want us to worship God. They want us to worship government. This is what's going on, folks. They're trying to have us worship government over God. Now, it just so happens I was coming back from the airport this morning. I took the red eye last night, and this Uber driver. First of all, I've never tipped a Uber driver or a cab driver 25% before. Okay, and that I tipped this guy 25%. It was an hour drive back home, and I never did that before. But I'm gonna tell you the story why I gave him 25%, because it ties into this whole thing with Deuteronomy 22. Okay, we're sitting there talking. He picks me up, and he's got an accent, right? But he's incredibly well spoken, young man. I say young man. He's only like 22, right? So he's like less than half my age. He's a young man. Okay, so from my perspective, so we start chatting. And he tells me about how so I said, where are you from? You have a little bit of an accent and stuff. He goes, well, I'm from the Republic of Congo, all right, and he immigrated here 5 years ago. So I said, oh, that's wonderful. How did you pick Chicago? And he's like, well, I wanted to go to New York, but the cost is too expensive. So then I settled on Chicago. So he's been here 5 years. He's the third of 10 children. His parents are super nervous about him moving to the United States. But he's always wanted to explore the world. He decided to go and live in the United States, and he wants to create for himself. He says he owns a car here, but in the Republic of Congo, unless you have the right people and you do things to bribe, you may not be able to have a car for years or maybe longer. So we were just talking about how communism has infiltrated the entire planet, right? Planet Earth and so forth, and how they're trying to infiltrate it here. And then we got into not just God. And he goes, I've heard about racism in America, right? Because, he happens to be an American. I'm not sure if he's an American citizen yet, but he's an American of African heritage. And I like to use the phrase, Americans of European heritage, Americans of African heritage, because we're Americans first in my mind. We're not African Americans. We're not Mexican Americans. We're not Polish Americans. We're Americans of a specific heritage. And if you can drill down on the country, all the better. So if you say American of European heritage, and I said, well, I'm actually from Poland, you can say American of Polish heritage. And so we had this conversation, and he said, there's all this talk about people saying, America's racist here, right, in the United States. He says he hears this, and he's like, I'm a little confused because I've never heard any such thing about America, in Congo. And he came here when he was 18 years old, okay? And, and so he's been here, he said 5 years, so that makes him, 23? And he said that, he goes, it's so we, as he said that, he goes, I never noticed it. I said, well, maybe you never noticed it because based on the way you speak, based on, on our conversation, it sounds as though you believe in God first. Like you put God first and you put your spirituality above the color of your skin. He goes, absolutely. I said, bingo. I said, you realize that we're spirits in human form and that we're not humans in spirit form, and that what we look like, what our characteristics look like, skin color, eye color, hair color, whatever color, all those things are irrelevant. It's your characters. And so, like, look at us. I just met you, and I can tell you right now, based on the fact that you actually have a value and a belief system, which is grounded around God, and you took the time to develop your mind and your brain. You did a wonderful job. I could see why your parents, having my own children, why your parents were worried about you coming here, because you clearly are gifted. You finished 2 years of study before you were 18. Then you moved to a different country, and so all of that tells me a lot about what your character is. And I said that I think most human beings agree with that. So then, anyways, so we started talking about this. Yeah. Let me see here. What is this? What is this? How does this? How do these people? They have too much time on their hands. How do they keep? They just keep trading. Setting up new accounts or something. It's the most silly thing. Like they have nothing better to do with their time, but to set up other accounts. I just don't get it. Anyways, but Don's gone, Dallas. Thank you. So, so as we're talking about this, I said, well, another one. Jeez. I mean, unbelievable. So, as we're sitting there yapping about this, I asked him what's his favorite food, what's his favorite food back home, and he goes, what do you mean? I go, all joking aside, what do you love to, like, what are some of your favorite meals, that you miss back home from the Congo? So anyways, I was showing them to my wife today when I got back. Hold on, let me see what these suckers are. So I took a bunch of, let me make sure I get my little screenshots. I'm going to tell you what foods he told me about. And so what he ended up telling me is, let me see here. So, there's a dish that he said I should look into called saka saka, right? And it's made from cassava leaves, and it's unique to the consumption of cassava leaves, which are cooked as greens. And basically, he said, I kind of read all the different ingredients that go into it. It sounds unbelievable. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot. And then he gave me another one. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to think of what was the other one he gave me. Hold on a second. I'm drawing. I can't find the next one here. Hold on. One was saka saka, and the other one was, I don't know. It's made with you boil down all these different types of vegetables, and it's not exactly a kale. And then it's done with onions and tomatoes, and then palm oil, and then he's kind of talking through all the different ways they prepare their food. And anyways, as we're sitting there talking, he drops me off at the house at like I don't know, 6:30 this morning, 7 o'clock this morning, and he, he gets out of the car, help get the bag out of the car or whatever, and then we end up talking for like another 10 minutes. Like so I guess he enjoyed the conversation so much that even though we were talking for like an hour straight, he ended up, we spoke for about another 10 minutes outside of the car, and he says, he goes, if human beings around the world, um, that's funny, do a cooking show. Yeah, we should maybe do one on this food. So he goes, if human beings that had differences, if all they did, no joking, this was a phenomenal suggestion he had. He says, if all these different people that have problems with other groups in American society or anywhere worldwide, right? He goes, we should just like literally bring out the recipes, like have a cook off. I love it. He goes, everybody should just talk about the food they like to eat and say, you know what? How about we make a couple different dishes, that I like to eat, and then you make some other dishes, because he said even in the Congo, no joke, everybody's the same color. He goes, in the Congo right now, he goes, everybody's the same color, but they figured out how to create a racism based on distance of where the hell you live. like with it. So you live in the Congo. You live in the Congo. You're black, and you're being treated differently because you live a certain amount of miles or kilometers away from the other people that are in your other community. So they try to vilify you. He says, so if people think that this is just happening on the color of skin, they'll find something to blame it on. And this is what they're trying to do. And then we got into this whole thing, about how families are being undermined. Like he was talking about how women, and this goes right into this whole thing with regulations for sexual purity. He says all the young girls there, they're starting to become super promiscuous, like they're happening all over the United States and all over, with all this crap that we've seen, where they sexualize all our young women in this country. They try to sexualize them younger and younger ages. They try to teach them all this stuff, that they somehow think that it's okay to do all these types of things, put their body at risk, put their health at risk, suffer with the consequences of encouraging these young women to have abortions if they have a child that they don't want to have, and then suffer with the consequences of knowing that they killed their own child in the future, and so forth. And he goes, this is happening in the Congo too. It's not just happening in the United States, it's happening everywhere. And so this war that we're in the middle of, this spiritual war, the good thing is that so people are seeing it and they're speaking up about it. And we need to have more of these damn conversations with like this guy that I just met. I just met him, and all it was a conversation of, hey man, where the heck are you from? That's how it came back. It came back from the standpoint of, hey, where are you from, and what do you what is it? What do you love about this country? What do you love about the Congo? What do you miss about the Congo? And he said that it's funny is he talks to his parents more now through he talks to his parents a lot. I don't know if he talked as much to them when he was in the Congo, but he basically said that he uses Skype, or maybe he said Zoom, and he talks to his family. And basically what I said is, it's funny you say that, because I had a Zoom call or a Skype call with my sister about something, and it turns out, I think she was asking me a question and look at something, and for her job, I looked at it, and the next thing you know, I said, hey, why don't we have dinner this way when you can't come by, right? She's a half hour away, and she goes, what do you mean? I go, I'll tell you, we need to do this more often. When we're about to have dinner, we'll let you know when. You plan when you're making your meals. We'll put the damn laptop up to the dinner table, and we'll have a spot for you at dinner with the computer. And I mentioned it to him because I said, while your family's in the Congo, depending on the time difference, because of the way technology is, you can turn around and have a meal with your family. And I said, I think that's pretty cool. You know, why, you know, like you can't, you know, sometimes we fly around the world or whatever. We fly to different states to have meetings and have break bread with somebody. Why not break bread with your own, you know, break bread digitally through a computer? Why not? Why not have a meal going? We set up a little communal thing and just like break bread that way. Anyways, so he said that that's a pretty good idea. He's probably going to give it a shot. You know, when next time he's like talking to his parents about it. So, anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. And so let's go on to Luke 9. Okay. All right. Let me see here. So Luke 9. Uh, Foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place even to lay his head. So this is what this was about. So the Lord, Jesus, because he was on his way to Jerusalem, when when James and John saw this, Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up? Right? This was when, um, you know, I'm not sure why he said that. Hold on a second. I don't remember that part. This must be from something else. Okay, so here, let me start from the beginning on this one because I'm not exactly sure.
Dude, Anakin just threw himself.
Okay, at the time as the time drew near to ascend to heaven, Jesus set out to Jerusalem. He sent messengers ahead to a Samaritan village to prepare for his arrival, but the people did not welcome Jesus because he was on his way to Jerusalem. So then they basically, you know, James and John said, should we set fire upon them? And Jesus said, no. So they went to a different village. And when they were walking along, someone said to Jesus, I will follow you wherever you go. And this is where Jesus replied, foxes have dens to live in and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place even to lay his head. He said to another person, come follow me. The man agreed and said, Lord, first let me return home and bury my father. But Jesus said, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. So let me repeat that. Let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach about the kingdom of God. Another said, Lord, I will follow you, but first let me say goodbye to my family. And then Jesus said, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. So it's kind of interesting, right? This is interesting. Like, so you have a situation where two people, you know, I guess you can interpret it as they're trying to make excuses as to why they didn't want to start, right? Why put it off? They didn't want to start their spirituality until, you know, they went and buried his father. And so it kind of gives you an idea, you know, that sometimes, and once again, this is an interesting thing. And, you know, you can read it a couple ways. And from I'll explain to you how I kind of read it and see if anybody else has any comments about this. But if you, you know, if you're following the kingdom of God, right, and you're trying to do God's will and live a good life, a righteous life, you know, you're this. I don't think this applies to you because what Jesus is saying, if you look at the language specifically, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead, right? But if you're not spiritually dead, and you know, Lord, first let me go home and bury my father. If you know, if I'm trying to think through this, like, because I think this word choice is there for a specific reason. Let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. So if you're spiritually alive, let the spiritually alive. Actually, this is pretty cool. I'm glad I'm talking this out with you because I was kind of stuck on this one, right? I like that. But walk the walk. Okay, so if you basically say, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead, let the spiritually alive celebrate the next stage of our spirit leaving back to God, right? That's the way I interpret it, because you never die, we may leave this world in a physical form, which is fine. I understand that. I accept that. But our spirit never dies. It's infinite. It lives on forever, and we go back to God. And so, that's one way I would interpret this. And then first, let me go say goodbye to my family. In terms of saying goodbye to your family, why would you ever permanently say goodbye to your family? And I think that's the whole point of this. Anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back, you know what? When you start the job, when you go to your job at work, you don't try to go and say, hey, I forgot to say goodbye to my family. I think that's the whole point. When you put the hand on the plow, you don't look back and say, let me take my hand off the plow and go back home and say goodbye because I forgot to say goodbye earlier. That's the way I interpret this one. If you're going to do something, do it, finish it, get through it, and I think that's super important, and I think that's what Jesus is alluding to. Make sure you finish what you start, and there's actually songs like that. Why don't you finish some? I think there's Van Halen song, by the way. Uh, uh, Anyways, I forgot the lyrics, but I do know that there's a Van Halen song about that. You got to finish what you started. And so, you going to bed? Okay, 1 second. Okay, have a good night. So, okay, so now we're into Luke 10. Okay. The Lord chose 72 other disciples and sent them ahead in pairs to all the towns, right? Man, Jesus had a following back then. You only hear about the 12 disciples, right? But he had 72. So he definitely had uh, um, he definitely had he had quite a number of people getting out there and spreading the word, and so forth. And so let's go into what happens. The harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send. Let me see here. Ask him to send more workers into his fields. Now go and remember that I am sending you out as lambs among wolves. Don't take any money with you, nor a traveler's bag, nor an extra pair of sandals, and don't stop to greet anyone on the road. Let me see here. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, Maria. I'm just saying that I'm just going back into the context of the past here. Okay. Whenever you enter someone's home, first say, "May God's peace be on this house." If those who live here are peaceful, the blessing will stand. If they are not, the blessing will return to you. Don't move around from home to home. Um, Stay in one place, eating and drinking what they provide. Don't hesitate to accept hospitality, because those who work deserve their pay. Um, if you enter a town and it welcomes you, eat whatever is set before you. Heal the sick and tell them, the kingdom of God is near you now. But if a town refuses to welcome you, go out in its streets and say, we wipe even the dust of your town from our feet to show that we have abandoned you to your fate. And know this, the kingdom of God is near. I assure you, even wicked Sodom will be better off than such a town on Judgment Day. Okay? So, when we sit there and we think about this, you know, the kingdom of God is near you now. Okay. So, if a town refuses to hear the word, right, hear the word of God, and tries to live, um, um, uh, tries to live a righteous way, and tries to at least keep an open mind. I think this is my interpretation of this is when the disciples went out and they're trying to preach the word, and if people refused to even keep an open mind and hear the word for how they could be saved, there's no point in continuing to preach the word, right? It's a waste of time. There's too many people to try to get the word out to save, and there's strength in numbers. So if you have a finite number of towns, like you have a lot of towns and you don't have enough disciples, and you need to focus your energy, you want to focus your energy on those that are actually seeking the truth and the way and the life, right? think about it. It's self-selection in this process as well. One of the nice things is, you know, we're talking about the greatest book ever written. We're going over these readings. We're all thinking about it. Even though I'm the one doing a lot of the talking, I guess all the talking. We've done a couple live streams. We've got to get some more in the docket. But as we kind of go through this, we decided to listen to it. We decided to read the word. We decided to think about it. And if somebody hears something and it's interesting and it piques their interest and they want to keep looking into it some more, then it's wonderful. But we should never try to force it. We can't force somebody to want to be a good person. Just like you can't force somebody to love you, and you shouldn't try to love somebody that's making you love them, right? That's what communism is. That's why it's satanic. They try to force you to do things against your will. But God doesn't want you to do things against your will. God wants you to do things based on your free will, right? Your free will to associate, to think, to be part of something. And only that way can it ever truly work. That you have to actually, you have to do it out of your own desire to experience that and to live that life. And if you don't get that, you get a situation on your hand where you shut off your energy, you shut off your creativity, you shut off your desire to be around people. You start to distrust people. You start to not want to be involved with other people. You actually cut yourself off from the vine. If you think about it, there's a lot of people in this world that have been severing themselves from society. They've been holding up, right? This is what a lot of these lockdowns is about. The lockdowns are about separating us from each other, separating us from our own humanity. That you get so disgusted, so upset that you're being forced to do things against your will, so that then you take it out on other people that aren't making you do things against your will. And that's the danger. And this is what they're trying to do. That we have to make sure that we don't fall into this. We have to choose between our way and God's way, not an insignificant choice, day to day. That's exactly right. And God's way is very clear, folks. God's way is God's way is take the time to do things that keep you connected to all your fellow human beings, to your fellow spirits, and that you share communion and you do things where it makes sense and you match up with other people that are trying to live a righteous life. There's strength in numbers in trying to live a good life, and being reminded that we're going to have slip-ups and we're going to have problems, and even when we make mistakes, we're going to ask for forgiveness, and you can't force somebody to forgive you. They're going to forgive you if you made a mistake, or they're not, and that's their free will. That's their free will to do such a thing. But overall, I think that what ends up happening is we all get stronger in the process, and so this is the deal, folks. That I think that this was a really good. It's really good that we're going through this, and that it really ties into what's happening around us every single day. So let's go to the Psalm of Asaph. Okay, so let me go through that one here. Let me see. Okay, so, oh God, why have you rejected us so long? Why is your anger so intense against the sheep of your own pasture? Remember that we are the people you chose long ago, the tribe you redeemed as your special possession. And remember Jerusalem, your home here on earth. Walk through the awful ruins of the city. See how the enemy has destroyed your sanctuary. There your enemies shouted their victorious battle cries. They set up their battle standards. They swung their axes like woodcutters in a forest with axes and picks. They smashed the carved paneling. They burnt your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the place that bears your name. Then they thought, let's destroy everything. So they burned down the places where God was worshipped. We no longer see your miraculous signs, and the prophets are gone, and no one can tell us when it will end. How long, O God, will you allow your enemies to insult us? Will you let them dishonor your name forever? Why do you hold back your strong right hand? Unleash your powerful fist and destroy them. First of all, folks, as you kind of read through this and you think about the situation we find ourselves in, the way we destroy evil is we need to act righteous. We need to live righteously. We have to do the right thing and be honest and not cheat and not steal. Follow the 10 Commandments. It's not complicated. Don't covet your neighbor's wife. Don't covet your neighbor's goods, or spouse. You can just update it a little bit, and don't do things that are very clearly outlined that are just outright wrong. And so I think that this is an extremely important thing to remember, because if we all start acting that way and we all hold ourselves to another standard, we don't have to follow the Old Testament where it's like really fire and brimstone, where people would actually stone people to death, like they talk about. Those days have passed, but we could definitely go through and identify ways in which we don't accept that type of behavior in the people that are in our community. And so, there is a healthy form of ostracizing. I do believe that. And so, I think that that's one of the things that is a way that we can help fight this back, is a healthy ostracize, not a as these lunatics like to do in the lunatic left, where they try to cancel you. What you do is you say, look, you have a right to what you think, but I have a right not to want to deal with you, right? And so there's a healthy medium, like where you just choose not to be involved with them. What the lunatic left is trying to do is they're trying to criminalize you if you don't agree with them, and they're trying to take away your rights, and they're trying to hurt your business, and they're trying to shame you into submission. That's what they try to do over and over again. And so there's a couple different approaches, right? There's the approach of God's will, and there's the approach of Satan. And the lunatic left is operating in a satanic way, where they try to take away your rights and try to damage you if you have a difference of views, and they don't have you see the views and so forth, because they know they'll never do that, because they're unjust views. So they try to force unjust views onto you by doing things to make it difficult for you to follow your own belief system and your own value system. Okay, so you, O God, are my king from ages past, bringing salvation to the earth. You split the sea by your strength and smashed the heads of the sea monsters. You crushed the heads of Leviathan and let the desert animals eat him. You caused the springs and streams to gush forth, and you dried up rivers that never run dry. Both day and night belong to you. You made the starlight and the sun. You set the boundaries of the earth, and you made both summer and winter. See how these enemies insult you, Lord. A foolish nation has dishonored your name. Don't let these wild beasts destroy your turtle doves. Don't forget your suffering people forever. Remember your covenant promises, for the land is full of darkness and violence. Don't let the downtrodden be humiliated again. Instead, let the poor and needy praise your name. Arise, O God, and defend your cause. Remember how those fools insult you all day long. Don't overlook when your enemies have said, or their growing uproar. Now, folks, I really do believe that a lot of this that's talked about, we're all kind of waiting for God to step in. Part of us, if we follow the Bible and we do God's will, we're the ones that have to step up and expose this evil. We're the ones that have to demand our government represents our views, our values, our belief system, and prosecutes this evil. This is how God works. God works through us, through the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is all around us. We have to step up and do our part. And I think a lot of people are kind of, shell-shocked, and maybe they don't feel like they can do it. It's too difficult. And I do think that there is momentum is building. There's, time is, things are changing, where more people are starting to realize, what, it is up to us. We have to take this country back, one spirit at a time, one community one precinct at a time, one community, one precinct, one county, one state. We have to take it back, and we have to do it in a just way. In a way, look, I'll say it again. I sound like a broken record. Gandhi did it peacefully. He transformed India peacefully. Martin Luther King, he helped end racism in the United States peacefully. He did it peacefully, folks, and he had so much power doing it peacefully. Unfortunately, they killed him because of it. You know, and so that's the problem, is that we can't allow evil to continue to build, because if evil continues to build, it will hurt and kill people that try to speak the truth, and we don't want that. We want more people to openly speak the truth, and we want to live in a society where it's rewarded to speak the truth, you know, and so forth. And so that's my 2 cents on it. So let's go to the last thing here. You know, a hard worker has plenty of food, but a person who chases fantasies has no sense, right? We see that all the time in this world. You know, there's no reason there should ever be any shortage in our world at all, ever. We all have. There's an infinite amount of possibility, potential in every single human being. I do believe that. I do think that there's never such thing as a shortage. There's no shortage that should ever exist for anything. If shortages exist, it's usually due to corruption. It's due to satanic forces. It's due to people that are broken in spirit, and they do things to harm other human beings, and they do it with a smile, and they do it with the help of taking over other human beings that are easily corruptible because they didn't follow the word of God. They didn't follow the truth, the way, and the path. And as a result, they don't have a moral compass. They think it's okay to cheat. They think it's okay to do things just for the benefit of themselves. And even if it's at the detriment of everybody else, you know, there's no such thing as a business that's one-sided. That's good. Yeah, that's evil. Every business, every type of transaction among human beings should be beneficial to both sides involved. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? You should never have any kind of business with anybody where you both aren't better off. I mean, that's the deal, folks. And we as a society need to go back to that. We need to go back. Hold on. What is this crap? Hold on. Okay. How can loving God cause so much pain? So, okay, hammer alert. Who did I get rid of? I just got rid of one, buddy. You guys, did I get rid of who you guys think? The bread? Okay. Or you guys see somebody else? Hold on a second here. I got rid of bread. You tell me if I'm missing somebody else, folks. Okay? How can God cause so much pain? There you go. Jacob said it. Hold on a second. Right here. Pain is the result when we don't follow God's will. But there's no such thing as a shortage. There's plenty for everybody. It really is. And so, anyways, with that being said, folks, I just want to say, you know, I just want to say God bless you. God bless your family and your friends. May God continue to bless the greatest nation in the history of the world. It's been a long night for me, folks, and I'm a little sleep deprived because, you know, like I said, I probably slept about 4 or 5 hours. I usually get my 6 to 8, so I'm going to go to bed early tonight. But before I leave, I just want to go through St. Michael's prayer. So I just want to say, St. Michael, Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of heavenly hosts, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who wander through the world for the ruin of souls. And so with that, I just want to say, may peace be with you. For some reason, if you don't have peace, start putting God first. Give it a shot. If you're not putting God, if you still don't have peace, then maybe you're not putting God first enough, is what I would say. Try to put God first. Pray, ask for guidance, ask for forgiveness. Even if you owe yourself forgiveness, sometimes people need to forgive themselves for things they did wrong, and they hold on to that, and it's very tiring and draining, and it eats at you. And you need to make sure that you don't torture yourself, right, with that kind of pain, right? That's what Jacob was just saying. Pain is the result. So if we don't forgive ourselves, we are in a sense committing a bit of a sin against ourselves, that we don't want to do that, and cause undue amount of grief on ourselves. So I just want to say I love you all. Thank you so much for joining in. just so you know, this will be on Odyssey. I'm going to take it down because I'm a little concerned that some people, it was a lot of weird things going on today, and I don't want them trying to figure out how to get me banned or something. So I'm going to take it off of here, and then it's going to be on Odyssey. So God bless everybody. Peace be with you, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.